Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we can be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and P. Bush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. 2 days away, boys, from when we're filming this. First game on Thursday. There's no better feeling. The weather started to get a little nicer. You know, that fall weather, man. It's just putting you in football mindset, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's already September. That's so shocking to me. September, summer is, I believe, officially over. It was 59 degrees this morning in New York City. So summer is over.
Nice.
Summer is over and football season is here. And I can't wait for Thursday. Right now, I'm trying to get my work done. So then Thursday night, I could be
have to do anything.
And watching the whole. I don't want to be working and watching. I want to be watching and eating and drinking. That's what I want.
You want to be sunk in the couch right there.
Dude, seriously. I've been and it's my host was Lamar. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, we can never deny that the NFL knows what they're doing when it comes to marketing, man.
Oh,
and they know how to open up a season. And they even added that new Friday game too, man. This is ridiculous.
For sure. Was it Brazil, I think, is where they're at? Brazil?
Yeah, that's Packers-Eagles. Yep.
Yeah. What was it saying they can't wear green, but then the Packers are going down there with green, so it's just like, I mean,
well,
I guess they're not scared.
They make it back. I mean, I'd be fine if the NFC North is only 3 teams, man. Better for the Bears.
For sure. That definitely would make your pathway to the playoffs a little bit easier. But speaking of the NFL, like I said, it is week 1 coming up. We got the Ravens versus the Chiefs in week 1, but I kind of wanted to ask the guys, what are some of the marquee matchups you're looking for the overall week 1 slate? And P. Bush, go ahead and start us off.
Man, we got some good games here. I mean, you just mentioned Ravens, Chiefs, Jets, Niners, Rams, Lions. But I'm focusing on a nice little young quarterback matchup in a rising division, and that is the Texans and the Colts, man. I'm very interested to see more so. I know there's maybe some more marquee games, like Jets, Niners, I think is either Sunday night or Monday Night Football. But that Texans-Colts game is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams and kind of their trajectory going forward. I mean, CJ Stroud, we know what he did last year. Zoo, we've been talking about how loaded that offense is with the newcomers of Diggs, Joe Mixon. I think they brought in Daniil Hunter from the Vikings to play opposite of Will Anderson there on the opposite edge. And I think, they get Tank Dell back fully healthy finally after not only breaking his leg, but then he gets shot in the leg as well, and he appears to be totally fine. And very interestingly, they're putting him as the full-time slot receiver, which is actually where he has played his best with CJ Stroud and even in his college days. So very interested on the Texans side to see if CJ Stroud is not going to have a bit of a Cam Newton sophomore slump, which he actually did go through himself and then became an MVP, right? So, it doesn't mean that he's going to have a bad career, but we talked about him being a bit overvalued in fantasy too, just needing to see what needs to be done. And then you go over on the Colts side, man, and Anthony Richardson. Really only played 3 games last year, and he's being drafted like he's Jalen Hurts, I mean, maybe, not the same, but pretty much, not same draft position, I should say, but they're being marketed as pretty much the same type of player. I really want to see how he meshes with Pittman. And also, he didn't play with Jonathan Taylor last year. So we really got to see how this rush attack is going to be able to fit both of their needs in touches as well as touchdowns, because we know what Jonathan Taylor cannot do, and that's be a huge aspect in the passing attack. So I'm very interested to see how Anthony Richardson comes out after being out pretty much all of last year. And I just think this is probably one of the best rising divisions in the league, definitely in the AFC. We kind of know what the AFC West looks like. We are getting an idea of what the AFC East looks like. AFC North is what it is. But this AFC South, and add in the Jaguars there too, could become very interesting. And this matchup might have playoff implications if Anthony Richardson ends up and CJ Stroud live up to their expectations for this year.
When you were talking about rising star QBs, I thought you were going to say Caleb Williams.
Come on, man. I ain't putting Will Levis in that conversation. Come on. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. I'm pretty hyped to see Caleb's showcase.
My dad's going to the game. He just found out today.
Oh, what?
My dad's going to the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I said you get to see
Wow.
the debut. That's pretty cool.
The debut of Caleb Williams. But for me, I'm going chalk, man. Ravens and Chiefs, man. This game is just elite. It's just elite everywhere. You got MVP and Lamar Jackson. You got the best player in the world in Mahomes. You got this budding rivalry where the Chiefs kind of own the Ravens.
That they do.
Like, they kind of obviously playoffs. Obviously, they set them home and the regular seasons. Like, Patrick Mahomes he just has Lamar Jackson. Like, it's just barbecue chicken with this team. Like, the Ravens, like, Lamar Jackson does well against every good, especially the NFC. Like, yes. Lamar Jackson's record against the NFC, winning at like an 80% clip. Like, this dude is ridiculous. Like, in the regular season, this guy is a bona fide Hall of Fame quarterback, and there's no doubt about it just by regular season resume. But you're talking about the playoffs. But right now is the regular season. That's why I'm okay. Ravens and Chiefs for the first game showcase. This is the game I'm most excited for. I'm excited to see the new additions on the Chiefs because last year's Chiefs offense, it was not the best. It was kind of bad.
The defense carried.
Yeah, the defense carried was more of Mahomes was a game manager. Mahomes is a game manager. Like, it is what it is. There's a reason he didn't win MVP last year because he was just managing the game with the defense carrying the load. But now you got Xavier Worthy, a rookie. You got Rashee Rice coming into his second year. They brought back Juju Smith-Schuster. You got Marquise Brown, who's still injured right now. But they revamped that wide receiving core and be like, okay, Mahomes, we need you to be the Mahomes MVP year. And I feel like Mahomes is going to have a little more fun this year. Even though regular season last year, they got the championship. They got the Super Bowl. But I think the play style, I think Mahomes wants it all. He wants his play style along with winning. Like, he want to be the reason his team winning championships. Yeah. So I feel like in this regular season, they're going to want to show a message with these new weapons. I'm especially excited to see Xavier Worthy, see if this guy's the real deal because they say he's one of the fastest dudes in the draft combine. And we'll see if this guy's got hands along with that speed as pretty much the Tyreek Hill replacement, which is big shoes to fill. But he's going to be in two wide receiver sets right there out with Rashee Rice. So we're going to get a quick look to see if this guy's the real deal in game one of the season. 8:20 p.m. NBC/Peacock. I am ready, man. I got my Peacock app ready, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah. What do you think about King Henry there, man?
Oh, yeah.
You think they're going to have kind of a JT and Anthony Richardson? Like, got to see how they fit together?
No, I think they're going to fit flawlessly. Flawlessly. Like, the only thing with King Henry is his age, but I feel like he's genetically just different from even the best athletes in the world because the guy just looks like the freaking Incredible Hulk. And you got Lamar Jackson handing the ball off to them. It's going to be a rushing attack like no other. Zay Flowers, season 2 coming in. This guy may try to be that alpha wide receiver one, take that next step in the offense. Mark Andrews, finally, he's healthy this year. Last year, I remember Mark Andrews being out. I was out on the Ravens because that's just too significant of an injury. But like this year, they're fully loaded, and we'll see if they get it done. We'll see if they get it done this year.
Their
defensive identity's been there pretty much in the entire history. Like Ravens, just their culture is defense. So I'm not too worried about the defense, but offensively, I want to see if they can get it done against a team that's been drastically improving defense in the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're going for a three-peat. Ravens going for their first one. I think I know what the result's going to be, but I'm ready for the showcase.
For sure. That's why it's the Thursday night game. For sure. That's the league knows that storyline. Once Lamar lost in the championship game, it's like you kind of just knew that was going to be the game because you kind of always know, like especially how certain games end in the season before. It's like, okay, this is probably going to be the headline game as long as they got a star quarterback for the next season. Right. So I'm definitely looking into that one. But for me, I mentioned it a little bit earlier before about the Brazil game. I'm really interested just from an NFC perspective between the Packers and the Eagles. There's a lot of little storylines that, I mean, if you're a diehard Eagles fan or a diehard Packers fan, you probably already know about, but I don't know if the media is really talking about. I really want to see the relationship between Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore, and Nick Sirianni. Like, I want to see that whole meshing of personalities. Like, we know, Sirianni has kind of been described as kind of a hothead and just the job may be a little bit too big for him. But Kellen Moore, I'm very high on. I like him a lot. I think he's a really talented offensive coordinator. And I think with Jalen and the amount of weapons that he has, not including that they just added Jahan Dotson, that's just another piece that he can put on the chessboard to give Jalen a chance to throw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. So I'm really wanting to see how that marriage works. On the other side, I mean, I think we're all interested to see what I guess you would say, starting wise, sophomore performance of Jordan Love will be. Like, I know we trust his head coach. Josh Jacobs is there. I really like their back though behind him, Marshawn Lord. If he gets healthy, I think he might be. If you're a fantasy guy, you should be looking into him. But I like their pieces. I mean, I won't say they have a dominant receiver one, but they have a lot of guys. Like I was telling Zero, I was telling P Bush pause before in the receiver preview. I mean, I'm out on Christian Watson. Like, I got to see something before I put any type of share. I can't even trust him in a flex right now, but I'm hearing the offseason hype again with him. It's like he's healthy, he's running routes. It's just like you're hearing all this stuff. So, like, if he's another added dimension, then you got him, Dontavius Wicks, Jaden Reed. I mean, apparently they got 2 tight ends. So it's like it just seems like they got a lot of not like superstars, but they got a lot of guys who can make plays for Jordan Love. So I'm wondering, I really want to see if he establishes like a relationship with the receiver one. Maybe it's a tight end, maybe it's a receiver, maybe it's a back out of the field or back out of the running back out of the backfield. But I'm interested to see like what he ends up really doing, because I do think this game is going to set a tone for either team, whoever wins, of like, okay, people may not be looking at us as like serious Super Bowl, NFC championship type contenders, but this could springboard you into like, okay, like for me, for instance, if I think the Packers win and Jordan looks really good, there could be a possibility that now we're saying, okay, they're a deep team, because just like kind of the Ravens, the Packers defense, it ain't the Ravens, but they always usually have a lot of guys on that side of the ball every year. And it's like, they're weird. And like, everybody always used to knock, I guess, Aaron Rodgers when they were like, well, he never drafted a first round receiver for Aaron. Like, they never did that. But it's like, the reason why they didn't, because they always was drafting a stud defensive guy. So I kind of feel like that team has a lot of potential. I like Matt LaFleur. I think he's a great coach. And I just want to see if they end up winning that game, what the narrative will be around, because it's not like they'll be going against slouches on the other side of the ball with the Eagles defense. So that's one of the things I'm looking for in that game. And I think the last thing I'd written down, Saquon Barkley. Now, I know DeAndre Swift had like a reemergence last year and played really well, at least fantasy-wise. He was really good. I do want to see Saquon in a role where not maybe like Swift, but he just brings his value back up, because there were rumors about like Saquon. I don't know, like maybe he's definitely not Ezekiel Elliott, but he's kind of on the downside. He's not what he once was, and a lot of that's because he was their only offense in New York. So he got probably ran into the ground. But I'm interested to see with Jalen Hurts, who's a better quarterback and better receiving options, and just maybe a better overall offensive philosophy, will he find a second life? Because I want to be honest, if he has a season anywhere close to DeAndre Swift, the Eagles are going to be dangerous, because, like I said, I'm just high on the OC, and I think he's going to be able to use these guys separately. So it's just a lot of different little small storylines. I mean, Josh Jacobs, maybe he can revive his career in Green Bay, but, I'm not betting on that. But, yeah, I think that's for the NFC's sake. If one of these teams give if one of them, I wouldn't say blowout, but like wins comfortably, you'll start to see a couple people like, oh, why can't they make it to the championship game, or why can't they make a run in the NFC? So I'm interested in those two teams for sure.
And Sean, it's the NFL once again entering a new geographical market, man. Entering into South America. They did Mexico. They've done Europe. The next one, Zoo, will be in Asia, man. They're going to bring it over there next, man.
And the NFL is sending a message, because they're saying these two NFC teams, we believe that these are going to be the elite teams in NFC, because they're showcasing to the world right now. This is sending a message, because obviously Jordan Love's still question marks. They're like, okay, the Packers, we believe in this team. And obviously the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and last year they had a disastrous ending, but like, okay, they brought the team back, made some acquisitions, tried to address their issues. We believe this team is going to be another elite team. So this is the NFL saying, watch out for these two NFC teams, because obviously the AFC teams, Ravens, Chiefs, obviously these teams have been dominant for the last couple of years, but the up-and-coming NFC teams that the leagues are saying, watch out for these guys.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Like the NFL, man, like I know fantasy is a big part of my excitement for the NFL, because I don't necessarily have like a hardcore team I follow. But man, it's just now with I think that the amount of quarterbacks, especially like you said, with Caleb Williams and Jane Daniels, like just those top two, like those guys, how good they were in college, and seeing they're going to franchises who desperately needs quarterback play. It's like if both can actually revive those situations, this is going to make everything more interesting down the road. So, like I said, kudos to the NFL. They might be. I don't know when they're negotiating their next deal, but
oh Jesus,
that thing's gonna be looking nice if Caleb and Jaden actually really do rise tides and rise those franchises, and now you just have all these elite quarterbacks in the league, and then it's like, oh, we're coming back to the renegotiating table. It's like I don't even know.
You know what? This is maybe this isn't a perfect analogy, but we've talked about how the NBA has become much more even. Over the past couple of years with kind of the Steph Curry, LeBron, KD aging, right? We might be entering that little territory. I mean, I know Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes and all that, but if these young quarterbacks continue to rise, Zoo, I think there is going to be more competition across the league, and it might not be the Chiefs Invitational for many more years to come.
Okay,
I'm not saying
you didn't convince me yet. I'll give you on the NFC. NFC, I think is wide open.
I agree.
But the AFC. Oh man, I seen the script, man. I've seen the script.
Oh, you hooked up? You got hooked up with Roger Goodell?
Oh, come on, dude. Come on.
I will share with you. I don't know which account online. It was on the Instagram account. It was one of those Bleacher Report, whatever type pages. Shared like their bold takes for like the season, and one of those bold takes was like, I have a funny feeling that the Colts and Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship game.
Colts?
Yeah, Colts and Chiefs.
Well, if you think about it, it is pretty open for the second team. I mean, you can't really put the Bengals in there guaranteed.
Yeah, too many.
The Ravens, we know what you do. You perfectly explain what the Ravens are, right? The Texans, Colts.
They seem like the trendy pick. I mean, I did.
And then you probably throw in like the Bills and the Dolphins, maybe the Jets, but that's health-wise, So it isn't absurd, I should say. But it'll depend on who wins the AFC South. That's really because if the Colts are the wild card, that'll be such a tough.
And two, the NFC, if Jaden and Caleb Williams actually perform above expectations, or at least just expectations their first year, that's just going to improve the NFC in terms of them having better quarterbacks, which is going to be better for the overall health. Because the AFC historically, I mean, dating back to however long, it just feel like they've always had the better end of quarterbacks, and the NFC's kind of just been it's just kind of been whatever. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm super excited. So make sure you guys tune in to our channel because we definitely are going to be looking into doing the type of bets we're going to be doing next.
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Into our betting segment of this podcast. And Peepers, go ahead and give them a breakdown of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, so many of you guys know I absolutely suck at the sports book, as you saw with my track record last year. I will own that through and through. I picked a tough segment to be be on a week-to-week basis, but I've been playing daily fantasy sports on DraftKings only for football for probably about 5 or 6 years now. And any of our listeners, you guys are probably familiar with it, but for anyone that isn't, you start with a lineup. The only difference between like a standard fantasy league on ESPN or Yahoo is you do play 3 wide receivers and you don't play a kicker. You do play a defense. You do choose one. And you start with $50K in salary, right? So what I'm going to kind of be doing every week is a very popular philosophy is to get, obviously, some people do it in fantasy too, but, get that quarterback and positional weapons stack, right? There's only a few guys that you can truly at quarterback play what they call naked, right? The Josh Allens, maybe an Anthony Richardson kind of player. Justin Fields has been one of those guys in years past, probably not this year. But, guys that, maybe sure they do throw the ball, but they have that huge rushing upside, right? So what I'm going to do is I usually like to focus on value picks at the quarterback position. You save money and get yourself those stud positional players in a PPR format, Zoo. So this is full point PPR.
Full point.
So, this week, and the pricing changes on a week-to-week basis for any familiar players, right? So just for perspective, Josh Allen is in the Sunday slate only. So the slates are the noon games and the 3:15 games Central Time. Josh Allen is the most expensive quarterback at $8,000, right? And I'm not very confident in many of his wide receivers in week 1. I want to see how Keon Coleman plays. But you know what? If you're paying that much up for Josh Allen, Jesus, man, you're going to be having to play a bunch of Adonai Mitchells, that 4,000 level receivers, man, that you just don't really want to be getting into. So I decided to go with a cheap guy that we haven't really seen play too much, but that's Jaden Daniels, the guy Sean was just talking about. Reason I'm targeting him, so perspective, he's 5,700 compared to Josh Allen's 8,000, right? So you're saving 2,300 that you can really put towards another solid positional player. And I have him stacked up with your boy, Scary Terry McLaurin, man. And I don't know why, once again, he's at 5,600. For reference, CeeDee Lamb, $8,800 to play.
That's number one, right? That's the
number one receiver in that slate. Tyreek Hill might be right around him as well. But, for Terry McLaurin, a guy that they just lost Jahan Dotson, Sean, as you know. So you're talking about heavy targets coming this guy's way from a guy that we know can throw the deep ball. Scary Terry is a deep ball threat, but he can also play in the middle of the field as well. And I think they're going to have to because they don't really have anyone behind him in the wide receiver room. So, you're talking about less than $11,000 or around $11,000 for these two guys that you can, put. I have my lineup right here. I got James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Brian Thomas Jr., Kyle Pitts, and Kenneth Walker, and then a cheap defense. But the one position I forgot to add was one of the wide receivers. So my other philosophy is you obviously always play a player on the opposite team of your stack because you're pretty much buying into that game as a whole and saying, hey, Commanders are playing Tampa Bay. Both defenses are not great. They're probably going to end up getting in a shootout. So I threw Mike Evans in there, man. Mike Evans, Mr. Stud, the fantasy god himself. He is almost always going to get you at least 15 to 20 points. And if he scores a touchdown, it can be skyrocketed from there. So he's a safe play on kind of an upside stack that we really haven't had any historical knowledge of. So you have to differentiate yourself because everyone's going to play Anthony Richardson. Everyone's going to play Josh Allen. And if you want to win big money, you have to find that value pick. So Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans is kind of my opposite player for that lineup there.
I like that. I like the stack because Scary Terry, obviously Dotson's out there. Scary Terry, this guy, he's a low-key wide receiver, been getting 1,000-yard years every single year, and now he's getting an opportunity to play with the quarterback that might be a future stud out there. Like he's the complete wild card rookie year coming in. So if this guy's that guy, he's gonna find his favorite target, and it's obviously like no doubt in our mind is gonna be Scary Terry.
Yeah,
like there's no number two.
And his value in fantasy view is. He hasn't really adjusted in fantasy.
Adjusted after the post trade, yeah. So you got a quarterback change. You got getting a higher target share. I like that stack and playing against Mike Evans. So
it's the $1 million maker. There's I'll let you know.
$1 million maker. Dude, what you got for your bet this week?
Oh man, for me, man, I like the futures, baby. I like playing a little futures bet in the future, just a little sneak peek in the future right now. And for me, Josh Allen this year, the story, it's a story award. Every time, like, the MVP is always a story award. And what is the story right now? Josh Allen lost all his weapons. Stephon Diggs pouted his way out to the Texans. Josh Allen got to throw it to Khalil Shakir. Yeah, that guy hasn't done anything in the NFL. No. You got old Dawson Knox. Like, that dude's an old man. Dawson Knox. You got a nice, cute little rookie in Dalton Kincaid, a little wild card. We haven't seen his potential, but he's not a made man yet. He may be a first-round pick, not a made man. You got Keon Coleman, a rookie coming in, and out of the rookie wide receivers, he's probably like the lowest tier out of like the first, second-round picks, I would say. Like, you got Marvin Harrison. There ain't no Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze. Like, he's in that. He's not even like a Xavier Worthy or even like a Land McCock. Like, he's just not up in that category of a prospect. And like Keon Coleman's only relevant in people's end because he's out going to the Bills. Maybe the Bills are decent. But this is what Vegas says. Vegas thinks that the Buffalo Bills can be a top five offense this year. And if they truly believe that the Buffalo Bills going to be a top five offense, there's only be one reason. Josh Allen's going to be throwing the ball and rushing the football like no other. And as you guys said, like the Buffalo Bills defense, a lot weaker this year. A lot weaker. So what's he going to have to do? Up the offense and go into shootout mode. And who's like Curtis Samuel? Like his weapons are just not there, and he produces at a level because like Patrick Mahomes got everything right now. Josh Allen now is the one who's with the depleted resources, and he's going to have to overcompete. And right now, like this is what FanDuel is saying. The New York Jets are the favorite to win the division. And I ain't got the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins fighting for a second and third over there, but they got the Jets winning the division. So number one, win the division as an underdog. Yep. Number two, Josh Allen. I need my double-digit rushing touchdowns again.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they go for a more efficient game of running the football. So Josh Allen, I need efficiency. Lower the turnovers, because with that defense, I don't need turnovers, man. I don't need fumbles. Fumbles and picks. Limit the interceptions. I know Josh Allen likes flinging it down. The interceptions, the one weakness in his game. So lower the picks. Keep the consistency, but you got to throw deep bombs because you're going to be down games. So I feel like the roadmap right now, Josh Allen is at plus 900 on DraftKings
for MVP.
Yeah, but Mahomes obviously is.
I'm about to say Mahomes
is the favorite. He's at around plus 500.
Okay.
So Josh Allen at plus 900, and I have them in the same tier. I was like, okay, I can see Mahomes. I can see Josh Allen getting it done. So for me, Josh Allen as MVP this year, the story is right there for him to get it done. It is a storybook, and maybe it's addition by subtraction with Stephon Diggs leaving because he doesn't feel the pressure to force feed a receiver and making the offense coach be a little more creative.
You could argue, Zoo, that was Mahomes when he lost Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
They had to kind of come up with good schemes. Now, obviously, they got the Xavier Worthy now, right, to kind of fill that in. But wait, is there anyone in between Mahomes and Josh Allen in those?
He is number two because they got Joe Burrow's 3. Where I'm like, okay, this wrist injury, I'm out.
I don't see it.
And they got Jalen Hurts, CJ. So obviously all quarterbacks, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Like Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy's a little. I'm like, he got 0%.
Just back Caleb Williams.
I will say this. I will say before I get into my my money line pick. I would, depending, and I just talked about this guy with the last with them playing in Brazil. I would throw a little cash on Jordan Love, just like a couple
MVP.
Dollars. He's plus 1,400. Yeah, I think there's a chance where, like, if he gets out the gate fast, and him playing at Green Bay, that's a name brand franchise. Your point about the story, like the fact that, like, the whole thing about he waited behind Aaron Rodgers, he was doubted, like. He came in, he was rocky in his first game, and then like he ended really well last year, so people kind of know of him. But like if they win 12, 13 games and he throws for yards and stuff, like I don't know.
To Zoo's point, though, he has to beat out the Lions, and I think that's my biggest.
You got to win the division. You have to win.
He has to win the division.
Yeah.
He has to win the division. But I mean, I just think, like I said before, in that division, like Caleb's a rookie, and he obviously has the highest ceiling, but he's still a rookie. Like I think the guy who has the highest way to go in that division is Jordan. Like, if they all get to their apex, I think Jordan can be hired, play higher at a higher level than Jared Goff. I think.
Jared Goff.
You putting Caleb Williams in that discussion too?
I gotta see him play first. I mean, he has the highest. Caleb has the highest ceiling out of every quarterback, but it's like I gotta see it first before me to be like, okay, because the game, like for me, like Jaden and him is like. If you put a gun in my head, it's like, are they going to reach their ceiling? Yeah, I just think they're that talented. And I also think, too, like the situations they're in, like I think Chicago kind of understood, let's get an offensive coordinator here and let's get weapons around Caleb to let him flourish. And I think the same, but Jaden, like even though he only has Scary Terry, he does have Cliff Kingsbury, who I think is still an elite type coordinator. So I think a lot of things that are being put around them are beneficial to them succeeding in the league. So that's just Jordan Love is, I'm just interested in him because I just think he's scratching, and his coach is really good. I just think he's gonna put him in good position. But I do the money line stuff every week, and I'm always looking for plus odds. So this week I was just like, let me go ahead and start scrolling down the list and looking at plus odds. And there was a couple of like, that would be really crazy of me to take that bet because you're just throwing away money. Because I just, once you get down from like looking at the actual teams and seeing like, okay, well maybe if this person plays above their head, and it's like, well, if you're doing so much of that. Then it's probably more than likely not going to happen. So it's like, just leave that bet alone. So the one thing I thought of, and I mentioned last pod or maybe the pod before about the 49ers, I was like, they got a lot of weird stuff going on. And I know Trent Williams just restructured his contract. So that's great news if you're Brock Purdy. And Brandon Ayuk signed. So that's also even better news because that's the guy you're throwing to. And I think I think he has a lot of good chemistry with Ayuk. But I am high on the Jets, man. And I think the 49ers, I kind of like their corners with their receivers. I like their ends, even though I think Hassan Reddick's like kind of not in the plans right now. Maybe he'll get right before the game, but I like both lines of scrimmage. I think it's probably going to be a stalemate. Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, this is one of his biggest spots in the last couple of years because he got hurt early last year. Brock's kind of been in those big games already, so he may come out a little bit more in sync. But I just think the Jets defense is gonna give Brock and that offense a little bit of some trouble. Mm-hmm. And I do think that Aaron and Garrett Wilson are gonna have chemistry pretty early. And for me, I just thought to myself, like, well, I mean, hell, if I'm gonna have the Jets quote unquote being in the AFC Championship game, they need to make a statement win. They gotta make a statement win. And what better way to do that than going to the Bay and figuring it out and getting it done? And Aaron Rodgers being from that area, I think he's gonna have a little. He's gonna have a little bit of a. Let me show out for my. Well, I mean, I know he's got a weird relationship with his family, which I won't talk about. But like, maybe people who actually like him, maybe people who like actually like him and who are friends with him out there in Cal and things like that. Like, let me, show out for them. So I think it was like I think it was +3 or whatever. I think it's like +3, +4, whatever. But
plus
the odds on it, I think
+4.5.
Yeah, +4.5.
I like that it's +4.5 because they can win by or lose by a field goal.
Yeah, so +170 money line, DraftKings. It's not crazy. It's not crazy high, but I will say there's another one I'm looking at and I'm kind of doing, but I don't want to go on with the pod with it. So if you do watch this podcast, I'm going to put in the show notes of like maybe another money line that I'm looking at, and I might be a little, I might throw that in there like on a Saturday or something and be like, I'm feeling better about this one. So. You guys got to make sure if you're watching the podcast to look at the show notes to see if I throw a little money line in there because this is something I may incorporate during the week. But yeah, I like the Jets. I like the Jets. Sean.
Sometimes you just need to feel something, man.
Yeah, maybe read a couple reports. But I like the Jets defense a lot. I'm high on them. I think Aaron and Garrett's going to have a connection. Mike Williams will maybe give me a fade in the at the 10-yard line, a little fade in the back end zone. So we'll see. But I like that one a lot this weekend. We'll see. Like I said, it's opening week. I think with opening week, anything could happen. And I think just a rule of thumb, we're doing the segment right now. But for me, I just don't ever like betting the first week because I want to see the teams play.
Sure.
So, and that's more of a rule, even though I don't really bet college. But that's kind of a rule I always do with college football because they're younger amateurs and they're trying to figure it out. And usually the biggest jump is from week 1 to week 2. So I always advise if you bet college, never bet that first week. But but the NFL, even though they're professionals, I always am like, man, can I at least kind of see what's going on and who's actually got the goods, even though we kind of already know, but I just kind of want to see it. So it's just like, I would never bet first week football, but I mean, I'm giving up my bets and I am confident in this one. So
I like it. I like it. We got to note this. CMC's coming off a calf injury.
Yep.
Yeah.
They say he's probably going to be probable to play, but calves are calf injuries, man. It's like, that's why CMC was a fade this year for me. Like that calf got me a little queasy right now. And Trent Williams, he might be out of shape. He might be out of shape. He might be out of shape. He got his contract now, but he had to go away from the team. So we got to put that out there. Ayuk too. He was away from the team. So there was a lot of noise going on, and going to week 1, maybe all that noise catches up in week 1, and the Jets get it done. So
I like that pick. Wait, Sean, was that 4.5 the given at +170?
Yep.
Or you took a money line.
Money line, yeah, that's the money line. So the money line is +170. I was just talking about the spread. I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4 because I was about to say if it was 3. It's like it's kind of saying it's like a pick 'em, but
I like the money line, but the spread's a safe bet too because that could easily be a field goal game
for sure. Especially with they're both defenses are elite. So I mean, I don't know. I almost would wonder what the over under is. Like I might take
43.5. 43.5. 43.5.
That's pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
It is very low. That's what speaks to the defenses.
And to your point, just real quick, I mean, you were talking about the Jets defense. Remember that their best pass rusher and defensive player, maybe besides Sauce Gardner, is Quinnen Williams. He doesn't have to go up against Trent Williams. Even if Trent Williams isn't fully healthy, he's still probably the best tackle in the league. He is an interior lineman, so he does not have to match up. And usually it's the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Bosas against the left tackle. That's always the marquee matchup. Well, the guards in the center are going to have a hard time keeping him out of that pocket.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's to me. I mean, I probably would rank that one. I know I talked about the Packers and Eagles, but that's probably one of the more interesting games just because of Aaron Rodgers, and I just want to see what he looks like. I know he's older, but he tore his Achilles and He tried to come back, quote unquote. I don't know. It's a lot riding on this year. I mean, the Jets, they're all in. So yeah,
it's them and the Falcons on the Achilles train, man.
Yeah. Good old Kirk. I saw a little stat about Kirk as we go out. I think he averaged like 19, 20 points in fantasy.
Yeah,
for like a stretch last year or something like that.
First
Before he
7
got
games,
hurt or
he was
whatever.
like QB2.
Yeah, I don't know. He's interesting. I definitely in my 14 team. I was trying to get him on my bench, but whatever. It all worked out. But make sure you guys tune into this segment. We'll be doing this every week when it comes to the NFL season. And like I said, I'll be trying to get this out at least this week before the Thursday night game. So you guys, if you're trying to place bets or trying to look at different types of things, you can have it for your feed. Make sure you follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Quantro Knows, Instagram, TikTok, Tyson Talks _ plenty of content, college football. I just put a post up there about week 1. NFL's coming up, so you know there's going to be a lot of posts and overreactions with that. So make sure you tune into that. Give us a 5-star rating. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are